Okay, Kevin, sitting here in a classroom, what do you think 17-year-old you would have thought about talking about your feelings, emotions, pressures?
I think a 17-year-old Kevin probably would have understood and at some point conceptually put it together what everyone was sharing and saying, but I don't think he would have had the presence of mind to understand how freeing, a written or a spoken word can be, and being vulnerable, how liberating that can be, and how healing that can be, especially amongst a group of peers, or just sharing it with, a trusted confidant. It could be doesn't have to be a therapist, doesn't have to be, somebody that is within arm's distance. You can also just put it on paper. So I think that while I now wish I could tell my high school self all of these things, it's beautiful to see some of this wisdom through the fund and just others continuing to eliminate the stigma, the impact that it's having on a younger generation at a micro level, which we see here, but and continuing to have these conversations with the numerous platforms that athletes or entertainers or people that are public facing are continuing to do and to share is a beautiful thing.
What does it mean to you to see like this next generation or a couple generations of kids being able to so openly speak like they did to you about that? Whereas like even in my generation, it was kind of taboo. Like we didn't really talk about mental health in high school.
No, it was definitely taboo. And it was, speaking about mental health and your feelings and the idea of being vulnerable was looked at as weak. I came from a home where, my dad was born in 1949 and it's just something that you didn't talk about. You compartmentalize it. You had your playbook that, you just tough it out. You don't speak about it, and we kind of celebrated those who beat their emotions into submission. Mm-hmm. But now just people's willingness to share, willingness to be more open, we're not looked at as weak. It's actually empowering. It actually helps you and allows you to be more evolved and help the next person. It actually is truly a form of strength, and I think that you're seeing that in every demographic and every walk of life. And there's I know people are extremely prideful. Some people don't want to share, but I think everybody goes throughout their process and timing in a different way. But it is good to know that we're tribal beings. We want to continue to build that community, and in doing so, people will feel more comfortable in going through that process however they see fit.
What are you hoping the students here today not only take from this today, but in the future, like lessons they can bring throughout college, adulthood?
Yeah, I think the thing we always want to get through to kids or to anyone is that it's okay not to be okay, mm-hmm. right? I think that what's the Adrian Rich quote that I just read? It's there must be those who we can sit with and weep and still be looked at as warriors. Like I truly feel like that is incredibly powerful, and I have had to find my people that even outside of my therapist, but people within my inner circle or people that I trust, that I'm able to have heavy emotions. And I spoke about heavy emotionalities in my share that I feel good in doing that and feel like I can do that more often because I have this now safe space in order to share in a way that is empowering and is very freeing. So I think we're in a different space, and hopefully the pendulum is swinging to an area in people's minds and within their lives where they feel like they can do that.
You were one of the first professional athletes to really open up and talk about mental health. How do you think that's changed, you as a person, your career, and what advice maybe do you have for young athletes, whether it's high school, college, on opening up about mental health? Because, not only is it taboo for general public, but it is also even worse for athletes.
Yeah, well, I want to first say I'm a follower before I was a leader. Mm-hmm. So, there were many who came before me, and one specifically, a big part of the reason I'm here today is, and I'll say to the day that I die, is like DeMar DeRozan. So people have shown others the way. So DeMar showed me the way, and hopefully I have shown others, whether in the public eye or or not. I think that there's definitely strength in numbers, and like I mentioned earlier, a huge strength in allowing yourself and the freedom to be vulnerable and continue to talk about it. It's going to continue to eliminate that stigma, and we're creating resources, and there's a lot of great research coming out around the topic. But if I was speaking to athletes at any age, I would always just say that baseline of any great relationship is communication, and knowing that person who is in the fight with you or in the foxhole with you better than you had before can only be a positive thing. I think in order to win, you don't always have to like each other, but if you understand each other, you're far more often going to give yourselves a better chance to win. And I think that if these things aren't weighing heavy on you and you're able to be free and find yourself in that zone and focus on your sport, you're going to be much better off than you were if you did the opposite. So I think there's a lot to be learned from having these tough conversations, and in a lot of ways, athletes can help show and lead the way, just because sports teach us so much.
Mm-hmm. In your prompt, you had mentioned this has been probably one of the more difficult years for you. I know you recently lost your father. I'm so sorry for your loss. How has moments like that, and I guess your background knowledge with mental health, been able to help you through these tough moments, not only in life but on and off the court?
Yeah, I think I had a daughter who was born in February and a father who passed in April. So on both opposite sides of the spectrum, there was work still to be done. There was work to be done in that time, but I am very grateful. And while I had to give myself grace, and still do through these moments and moments of grieving, I am proud of myself for having done the work leading up to those heavy moments, especially with loss, because when I wrote my first article in 2018, in March of 2018, I spoke of never really grieving for my grandmother, and so now in having lost a grandparent, and now fast forward to this year in 2025, having lost a parent, I was much better equipped and had more tools to deal with that. Well, it's always going to be extremely heavy, and it's something that leaves a hole in your life. There are different teaching scenarios and moments where I've just either authentically in the moment learned, or it was everything leading up to that, the work that I'd done that had prepared me is not the best term, I guess, but it put me in a good place to heal on the front end as well as the back end.
What were your thoughts for the kids' questions for you? I know some of them, they had to get some basketball ones in there.
They're always reluctant, yeah. I mean, they have to ask the basketball questions. I get that. I would have done the same if I was sitting there. And, you get prompted to play one-on-one every time you do these things. But,
really?
No, it's amazing, and we've been very fortunate that the kids or the teachers have consistently shared, and Kat did such a great job of saying, even if you don't want to share, how did this make you feel? Right. And just getting the interaction and engagement is something that is not easy to foster, and that is not lost on me. Again, if I was sitting there in that seat, I probably would have been looking around with my legs shaking and got a little hum of extra anxiety if I would have been asked to share. But I commend everybody that was willing to do that, because on the other side of that, it can really be so freeing.
My last question for you. I know you're very open, obviously, with your mental health, but is there maybe something that other athletes, students don't know about your mental health journey that you want to share or bring light to?
I think I said it earlier too, and I say it all the time, and I'll say it throughout. It's just nothing haunts us like the things we don't say. I truly believe that. Like, everybody's going through something that you don't see. Leading with kindness has worked for me. Being empathetic and vulnerable, I truly believe, can be a superpower. It's got me this far, and I will continue to practice all of those things that I mentioned, but I just want to keep pushing the community aspect of it, and that we're all tribal beings and here together, so I hope we start acting like it.